Right, that's what Rajneesh mentions, right?
Yeah.
So you do everything. You play with the time and space. It's an interplay, but when you wake up, was there a time there? Was there a space there? Sometimes people see the dream that you are a kid and then you grow up and you become an old man all in one night. How is that possible? Again, the trick of the mind. So all these illusions happen as a part of the dream. But if you really look at the Dvait from the Advait aspect, then the Dvait also will seem like a dream. So that is the concept we have to come out of, is the Dvait by itself, right?
Now, is it possible to be aware of your dream when you are in a dream?
That's the problem. You have to raise your awareness to such an extent. Right now, our awareness can be experienced, for example, at the meditation level. Say you meditate. In the meditation, you start separating yourself. Even though your body is there, you are sitting there and you, as a part in a room or whatever, little by, all those are thoughts. At the mind level, it's all realization that you have a body. But then little by little at the mind, at the meditation level, you start separating yourself. You realize that this is all fake and the reality is something else. But how long does the meditation last? 15 minutes, 20 minutes? But with the repeated practice, you start living your day-to-day life also, and you keep on having that Advait state in the back of your mind while you are going through the different experiences of life, never forgetting that state of Advait. Now with, again, of several years maybe of practice, you could go through the sleep and realize that it's a dream.
Nice experiment. Like you always try to keep your step detached. Like whatever you
Right.
just watch it. Whatever you're
Exactly.
doing, whatever you're...
That's what Gita says. So there is an action, there is unaction, and
Stoic.
non-action.
Yeah.
So when you act, you are acting with the full knowledge that you are acting. Your ego is alive. When there is non-action, meaning I don't want to do anything. Whatever, I'm not going to do anything. And that's unaction. But there is non-action means you are acting, but you are not acting.
You're detached.
You are detached because you don't exist. At the Advait level, when you really realize your infinite potential and you realize the bounty of Paramatma, he filters through you. You don't exist anymore. And you believe that the whole thing it is being done is through him. At that time you melt. You don't exist. And at that time he takes over. So your ego does not come into the picture at all. Right? So that's how it works. So it's possible, yeah. So how do we reach to this state of Advait? When we start realizing that our universal nature, that's when we will start appreciating that we are all linked together. Say a tree is getting taller. Now if you ask the tree might say that, yes, I'm getting taller. But then how would you factor the amount of sunshine that it needs to grow? The sun is also contributing. And how about the water that it needs? The rain brings it. Then how about the nourishment it draws from the soil? The nourishment in the soil might have come from a lot of dead animals, a lot of dead creatures that used to exist in the past, a lot of plants and vegetations that decayed and made the soil. All these things is contributing. The sun going from one end to the other end of the horizon, contributing, giving the energy to the tree. So all these things, if you really put into together, then you go even further out. say the sun itself, our own sun, is nothing compared to the whole galaxy, compared to what, 200 billion stars which are part of one galaxy, and the galaxies interacting with each galaxy. So universal forces are basically contributing for the growth of that tree. Now, where is the role left for an individual tree to say that I am growing? The ego is so fake. Ego makes you believe that you are the doer, but you are not.
Yeah.
The whole universe can say, that whole consciousness can say that it's growing in the form of a tree today. The trees may disappear, and again something else will come up. At one time there were no trees. Vegetations never existed. It was all rocks and minerals. But at that time the consciousness existed in the form of rocks and minerals. There was no life on the planet Earth. And the multiplication started, the DNS came, the theories come, the comets brought, or it was a spontaneous evolution, whatever. The DNS were created, and then we were created. But all that was again a play of consciousness. Consciousness created this, dismantled it, created this, dismantled it, created this, dismantled it. Someday will be dismantled and created, or something else will be created. The creation always stayed. The change always stayed. Change is Paramatma. Once we see the link between the past and present and the future, the link is Paramatma. Advait is a state which continuously gives rise to Dvait in a different forms. But the continuity always stays. That continuity, if you think about it, it will get easier to get into the state of Advait. Right? So the past events sometimes thus shape even small events. For example, when Napoleon was young, was hardly maybe a year or something like that, a cat jumped on his chest. He got so scared. And that scare stayed in his mind for the rest of his life. They took care of the cat. Many years later, and of course Napoleon went through so many wars. He was a great warrior. He fought many wars for French, and they won a lot of, they expanded their territory. And then one war he lost. His opponent was Nelson from England. What he did was, he brought 70 cats on the field. And the fear of the cat was so built in into the Napoleon's mind that he could not fight.
He knew.
He knew. So at the end of the day, Napoleon told his friends that if Nelson thinks that he won the war because of his might, he's mistaken. My might would be always better than his might, but I lost to the cats.
Might? What is might?
Strength.
Takat.
My strength is lost because of?
Because of the cats. Because his fear of the cats.
वो नेल्सन ने नहीं हराया मुझे, कैट्स ने हराया, ऐसा हो रहा था.
The cats defeated me, not Nelson. So, if that cat had not jumped, the history would have been different. Now you see the connection between a small event turning into something major.
Yeah.
40, 50 years later,
Yeah.
you may have a sneeze in the morning, right? And normally you get out of the house at, say, 8:15. 9:15 for you.
9:15 for me.
Just kidding.
Late.
You go
Always late.
Okay.
Because your job starts late, so I'm just kidding. But what I'm saying is, say you get out at 8:15 every morning, for example. You had a sneeze and say, okay, I want to take Claritin or something, some tablet for allergy. You get 5 minutes, 10 minutes late. You're looking for that tablet. Meanwhile, everything changes. The world is continuously changing. You go 5 minutes late, every single traffic light, every single place, whatever building you want to go, you finally reach there 5 minutes late. You meet a girl, you end up in an elevator together. Who knows? It could be your future partner. You end up marrying, and you may end up having Buddha or Krishna or Ram as your son or something, and they might change the world forever.
The seed is totally different.
Totally is different. The world that could have been, if you had left your house at 8:15, is totally different because you left at 8:30.
Because of the sneeze.
because of the sneeze. Right? It's weird, and we're laughing, but the thing is that there is nothing small in this universe, and there is nothing big in this universe. Only it is small or big because of our perception. When we are able to see and connect and understand the whole thing, all of a sudden it becomes very important. All of a sudden, because it's only our limited sense of knowledge. And what's going to happen 20 years or 2,000 years or 2 million years later? Again, the world would have been totally different if none of this thing would have happened. That's why we said about the dinosaurs. Asteroid came, and 95% of life on the earth got extinct. And all the dinosaurs used to roam the world, they got extinct. A small mammal that used to burrow, and mammalian kingdom was not really, flourishing at that time. Reptilians were ruling the world. The reptiles, the snakes and lizards, and those were the kings. Dinosaurs were reptiles. But mammals survived because they were inside the burrows. Imagine our life linked as mammals linked to a small rat-like animal. So events happen all the time. Only we bring under the scope of our mind, then we start putting the significance together. But there are so many events like this. They say our sun was hit by another sun billions of years ago. And because of the impact of another sun, a lot of material from the sun separated out and created the whole solar plexus. All the planets and moons and Jupiters and all the planets and its moons and everything was created because of the impact of that sun. If the trajectory of that sun was 5 degrees different from our sun, nothing would have happened.
They say it's a height of coincidence.
Right. Exactly. To have
99% perfect.
right billions and billions of miles of separation of different objects hitting each other, how common is that? And it's like if you have, space-wise, if you look at an atom, right? Inside the atom, there is a nucleus. If you compare the size of the atom with the nucleus, you know how it is? St. Peter's Church has a huge rotunda, big dome on the Sistine Chapel. And I forgot the dimensions, but it's so huge. You put a speck of dust in the center, that's how small the nucleus is compared to size of an atom.
Yeah. You
It's-
did mention that.
Right. So all this empty space that's around to have an impact of 2 suns is so unusual. Now, if that sun had not knocked off some of the material from our sun, we would not have existed. Bakulbai's basement would not be there. Your house would not be there. Ram and Krishna and Vedas would not be created. Buddha would not be there. Nothing would have existed. So our existence is dependent on something that happened millions of years back. So small events carry a lot of impact, but whether it carries a lot of impact or a little bit impact, it all depends upon our understanding. And whatever importance we give to whatever event, that decides whether this is a major impact or small impact. So it really doesn't matter. Our life is a series of events, and each event is important. From the standpoint of consciousness point of view, it really affects the growth and the evolution of the consciousness to such an extent that eventually everything matters. So small things matter, big things matter, everything is the same. So whether you sneeze or not, it's important, or whether you make a major investment or not, it's important. Nothing is big, nothing is small, everything is the same. In finite level, everything is the same. Flowers are important, thorns are important. Without thorns, the flowers would not exist. Otherwise, the animals will chomp out the flower. The leaves are important. Leaves may not look pretty, but leaves bring the nourishment, and the nourishment feeds to the flower. So the flower is just as important as the leaves, and vice versa. So we have to understand the Advait from that state point of view, right? Just by, speaking Aham Brahmasmi does not do anything.
No?
No.
No, it will work out.
No, it
For
doesn't
me, it will work.
You
know
have to
why?
understand. You have to understand.
You
We
know
have-
why?
No, see, this is
Listen
by
first.
chanting.
Yeah.
What chanting does,
It will, yeah.
Hypnotize
let me
you.
tell you,
Yeah.
it's a state of hypnotism.
Oh.
What it does, it's instead of having your mind running in 1,000 directions, the chanting, it brings you into one focal point. That okay, I am Aham Brahma. Same way you can say Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. It will do the same job.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it will do the same job if you don't understand the meaning of it. You know what I'm saying?
लेकिन वो संत कैसे निकला है जो एक बोलता है कि खाली ये खाली आप मंत्र जापो तो आपका सब प्रॉब्लम हेल्थ का निकल जाएगा.
It's only
Right? Kumar Swami, Mummy was telling.
it's only
Yeah.
because of the channeling the energy of your mind in a certain direction, right? But the direction is still there. The true state of dhyan, you really want to reach to the state of bliss. Bliss is a thoughtless state where nothing exists. Mantras don't exist. You don't exist. I don't exist. Nothing exists. You are in a state of equilibrium where there is no direction. There is nothing to have to do. There is no doership. If you don't exist, where does the mantra exist? So, in the initial stage, maybe it is important for somebody whose mind is continuously wavering and continuously being occupied by the dualities to bring them to a single focus, maybe.
Yeah.
But that is just the starting point.
Start.
Beyond that, there is a whole journey left ahead. So why go after all these things? Instead of following everybody else's instructions, find your own state. And in that state, you just find your own place. You find your own infinite existence. At that point, you don't need mantras. You don't need nothing. In fact, all these temples and all these mosques and all this are created just to keep you in that illusion. Again, they are part of Dvait. How many murders and how many wars have been created because of the different beliefs?
Muslim and
It
Hindu.
just creates beliefs in your mind, right? It's the mosques are fighting, and Christians are fighting, and Muslims are fighting, Hindus are fighting, Jains. There are 1,500 different kind of Jain sects, and so things. The same thing with happened Buddhism too. There are so many branches, and keeps on going. Each one defending their own thing. Again, it's a state of belief. So Dvait creates discomfort. Dvait creates the fights. Dvait gives you restlessness. It does not let you go to the state of bliss. So bliss is a state where you don't have to do nothing. If you don't think that you are a Hindu, why do I have to fight yourself? The moment you forget that you are a Hindu, the fight is over. How would it justify you to kill someone?
But this is very difficult process there. If you think that you are not Hindu or not. That's
Yeah, you're not.
Why to think, why to label yourself?
That's
Okay.
difficult.
Difficult
not easy.
only because you have not experienced.
Yeah.
It's experience itself will teach you.
The same way when you were a kid, it was so difficult to write your own name.
Right,
Once you know
right.
how to, it's easy.
Repeat practice, right.
It's
Then it's
easy.
easy, right.
Yeah. So when you something you don't know is always difficult.
Everything that is exists in your mind has been fed by the society. Your name, your house number, your keys, your card, all this information.
That's not very extreme level. This is not very extreme. That's
You do it. All these questions will automatically fall if you actually do the meditation. Once you do the meditation, and when I say on a seriously regular basis, little by little, the mind, your own experience will teach you that you are that state. When at that state level, the questions will not even come up.
You remember you say you're not this, you're that. That's the meaning of it.
वो बाजू में चलता रहता है और तुम शांति में बैठे हाँ वो बाजू में सब चलता रहता है once you get into it
That's the
उसको
meaning.
चलने दो.
हाँ
And you
वो भी
just-
चलेगा तुम भी चलो ऐसा
एक संत निकला है ना वो जो कुमार स्वामी करके वो बोलता